Hello loves and welcome to today's video. My lovely friend Ashley from Ash Loves Books and Owl made this absolutely adorable fall bingo card, and then I had an idea because I am back in school. If you missed that update, hi, I'm back in school. So I don't have time to read 25 thick ass books, but you know what I do have time for? Some Chuck Tingle Tinglers. So in this video, will be reading Chuck Tingle Tinglers until I get a bingo on Ashley's bingo card. All of these prompts are fall themed, it's a good time, and some ground rules that I'm going to follow for this vlog are that I'm going to choose the books at random to start. I have 189 Chuck Tingle's books downloaded, and I also have Lucky Day, which is 190 Chuck Tingle books to choose from. I'm going to use a random number generator to select them. I am going to allow books to count for more than one prompt, so if I get a book with a yellow cover that also has leaves on it, that counts for 2. This vlog is going to end when I get a single line in any direction, diagonal, up and down, horizontal. I'm not going for full bingo card. There are some that are going to be like impossible basically with the selection of books I have to be able to get, so we're only going for one line. And if I get a book that fits none of the prompts, I'm going to allow myself to pick manually the next one. So they'll be random to start with when we're having a lot of easy fun times picking things off, but if it gets down to the wire where I'm like, I need this one specific thing to be able to finish this line, if I get one where it's like, well, this didn't fit any of the prompts, I get to choose the next one and we'll go from there. Okay, so those are the ground rules, and let's get started. Pick a number between 1 and 190. 62. Let's see what we've got. Okay, so we get Lesbian Roller Coaster Barista Gets Me Off, a trans buckaroo tale. Right off the bat, let's see if there's anything on the cover that we can cross off. I wouldn't consider it to be orange, yellow, or purple, unfortunately. No fire on the cover. It doesn't start with F, S, O, or N. So nothing yet that we can cross off, but we'll have to read it and see how we do. So this one happens during COVID, and our main character has a kidney stone and she's in so much pain. And the doctor's like, by the way, like riding a roller coaster can usually like dislodge it and make it easier to pass. But it's COVID, so like all the amusement parks are closed. So she's like, damn, I'm gonna have to suffer in pain. She leaves and she decides that she's gonna go get a hot chocolate on her way home. And when she gets to the hot chocolate cafe, the barista's a roller coaster. And the barista is like, how's your day? And she's like, I'm not so great, I have this kidney stone. The roller coaster's like, oh, well, like, I could help you out with that. So she rides the roller coaster, dislodges her stone, and then the roller coaster's like, okay, do you want another ride for pleasure this time? So then they have the sentient object sexy to them. It was a trans buckaroo tale, which was handled very, very sensitively. And also, it got a little heartfelt at the end because, let me read this quote, nobody has to stay on the track fate drops them onto. Just because we're born onto a certain rail, it doesn't mean that that's the right track for us. We get to choose our own path, and this is what makes everyone special, important, and unique. And this is the thing I love about Tinglers, is that you will have like the raunchiest sex scenes, you will have the randomest, most out there concepts, and then Chuck Tingle will drop in one of the most emotional, heartfelt lines you've heard in your fucking life. And you're like, how is that line from a book about someone fucking a roller coaster, you know? So, that's book number 1 for bingo. And let's see. It did not take place in a school. There was no bonfire. I guess it would depend on what your definition of fantasy is. I'm going to save the fantasy one for something that's like Bigfoot or cryptid, you know? No football, no fall setting. It didn't really say what season, but I'm going to say probably not fall. They didn't fall in love, they just fucked. It wasn't spooky, no yellow cover, no Vampire Diaries. I think that the only thing this counts for is the free space, which I was not hoping to have to use this early, but here we are. So we have our free space covered now, and let's figure out what the next one we're gonna read is. Choose a number between 1 and 190. 168, okay. Okay. So our next book is The Sentient Bread I Just Baked is a Lesbian and She Eats My Ass. Based on the cover, I don't see anything that falls onto our bingo card. I think potentially this could be a cozy vibe. Baking bread is cozy to me, and maybe it will have a fall setting. So let's read another Tingler. So I finished The Sentient Bread I Just Baked is a Lesbian and She Eats My Ass. Okay, by Chuck Tingle. This one is again set during COVID, and this time someone is trying to find like a COVID hobby, and they decide to bake some bread, but the store is out of flour, so the work at the store is like, hey, I got some secret flour hidden in the back, and she uses the flour to bake a loaf of bread, and then the loaf of bread comes to life and eats her ass. This one was mid for me. Not my favorite Chuck Tingle Tingler. Didn't have any moments where I'm like, he just gets humanity, you know? I do think it works for the bingo because I think cozy vibes, baking a loaf of bread, and there was talk of like a soup bowl and they cuddled after. I think that counts as cozy vibes. So we have now 2, and we're on a roll because they're in a line too. So we're making some progress. Okay. So let's figure out what the next one's gonna be. 9, ooh. Yeah, next one is gonna be bisexual polyhedral role-playing dice orgy. Well, okay. Let's check our cover here. Fantasy, if there is actually role-playing, I think I'm gonna count this one for fantasy. And nothing else. All right, okay. I will let you know when I'm finished bisexual polyhedral role-playing dice orgy. Well, that was exactly what was described on the tin. That was a dice orgy. So our main character finishing up his tabletop game, and they're about to start a new campaign, and one of the other members of the group is like, my guy, you need to get some new dice before we start the new campaign because your current dice suck. So he goes to buy new dice and he asks for like, haha, do you have any really extra lucky ones? And the guy does. These die with faces. He's like, oh, well, I only rolled a 10. That's not very lucky. And the D20 is like, well, you have to warm us up first. And then they have an orgy. That is a thing that happens. I'm gonna count this as fantasy because at the beginning they were fighting a dragon. This was like part of the campaign that they were finishing up, and I see that this fantasy has a dragon on it, so I'm gonna count it. Doesn't help me for my line because it is offset to the side, but it does at least have one of the things that is oh god. All right, what's the next one? I'm powering through these at this point. Most of them have only been like 12 pages, so they're not taking me very long to read. Pick a number between 1 and 190. 186. Twin Cheeks, Ancient Boober Gets Me Off. So this one does have a red cover. So I am excited that we at least get that. What else is on the cover? I don't know, there's wood, but I don't think that counts as leaves because it's just a log. Maybe a fall setting, hopefully? Maybe it'll be spooky. That'd be great. I will let you know. It's a different day, but I did finish Twin Cheeks last night, and then it was late and I wanted to go to bed. Not my favorite Tingler, mostly because I, unfortunately, has never watched Twin Peaks, so I feel like there were probably a lot of references and stuff that were lost on me, having never seen Twin Peaks. But It was an excellent book for the purposes of the bingo because that's a red cover, baby. It's a corner square, very helpful. Also, they go for a walk in the forest, and that is a third in a row for my middle line. We have 2 now here and 3 here. So we're making some progress. I'm very excited about that. In this one, there's 2 FBI agents and one of them's trying to find like the best pie in the state or something. And there's one diner they can't find the location of, so they go on a walk in the forest and end up in a parallel world, and the only way to escape the parallel world is to fuck. So I did consider also including this one for like witchy vibes, because there's like magic, but it's more parallel world. Witchy vibes is going to be a tricky one because so many of these are like inherently magical in that they're sentient object romances, so I'm not sure like where the line is. Also debated counting this as a fairy tale retelling because it is like referential to other media. I'm not sure where that line is either, so we'll continue ruminating and see if how far we get into this video if I have to start loosening some rules as to what I count for things. So now we'll see what we're reading next. Pick a number between 1 and 190. 55, okay. I went on a hunt for the Easter Bigfoot and now he's eating my ass. So I went on a hunt for the Easter Bigfoot and now he's eating my ass. And I do think I am gonna count this for 2 prompts. First of all, having looked again at the cover for a bit longer, grass is leaf. That's the least articulate sentence I've ever said in my life. Blades of grass are the leaf part of the plant. So the fact that there's a field of grass on the cover means that I do get to cross leaves on a cover off of this. Another one that doesn't help us to one of our existing lines, but everything helps at this point, right? And then this book is about a park ranger who's like driving up a mountain to go do something, can't remember what. And then as he's driving along, someone's like, oh man, watch out for the Easter Bigfoot. He's like, Easter Bunny? And the person's like, no, the Easter Bigfoot, he's for adults, whereas the Easter Bunny's for kids. So he's driving along the road, and then there's a giant, like, pit in the road, and he's like, man, I gotta go back. He's walking back through the forest, I think, and he finds his weird egg, and he takes it, and he makes it all the way back to the park ranger outpost. The lady there's like, you're supposed to follow the eggs, and that'll take you to the Easter Bigfoot. Now, all of that read so much like a thriller horror. It was kind of spooky. And he like goes and follows the eggs and Bigfoot's there and Bigfoot fucks him with a cock ring. Well, it ended up being like erotica. The like lead up to it of him like, oh no, I'm driving up this mountain which is super steep and a super dangerous road, and then there's a hole in the road, and oh no, I'm almost careened off the cliff and now I have to try and find my way back. All of that read pretty freaking spooky. I'm not gonna lie. I was getting some like cabin in the woods vibes. So I think I'm gonna count this as a spooky read too. We are 1 space away from being able to get a bingo in the middle section here. So we just need a bonfire. So hopefully I can get something with fire in the title. And so far, I thought Fall in Love was going to be an easy one, but so far they've just been intercoursing and not actually falling in love. So hopefully I can get one of those soon, or something with a fire on the title. I don't have my phone over here, so I don't have my watch over here. Random number generator. Okay, random number generator gave us 81. Let's see what book that is. So, our next read is going to be Nice Guy Dinosaur Doesn't Pound Me in the Butt Because I'm Not Interested, and he's not actually, oh my god, fuck off Adobe Acrobat. I have the pro version on my other account, and now it's yelling at me for not having a pro version on this account, and like, I only have the pro version because it's with my school login, and I don't particularly want to be reading all this erotica on my school account, you know? Nice Guy Dinosaur doesn't pound me in the butt because I'm not interested, and he's not actually nice. He's just annoying and creepy and doesn't respect my boundaries when I tell him we're not on a date. It starts with an N. Oh my god, we can cross that one off. Woo! Maybe they'll play football. That would be amazing. Okay, I am gonna read this one and then I'll get back to you. I did finish Nice Guy Dinosaur Doesn't Pound Me in the Butt because I'm not interested and he's not actually nice. He's just annoying and creepy and doesn't respect my boundaries when I tell him when I'm not on a date. This one was so cringy, and not for the usual reasons that a Chuck Tingle book is cringy. This one was cringy because it was about these like two friends who are at a barbecue and they're talking about this like old retro game that they used to like. And then this random dinosaur comes up and he's like, actually, that level is not called Frostfall, it's called this. He's like, I actually have 2 tickets to the tournament. Do you want to come with me? He's only really inviting one of the two guys, not both of them. And the guy's like, well, I don't really know you, so I don't really want to go with you if my friend's not there. So then the dinosaur's like, I guess he can come too. He spends the whole rest of the book tricking this guy into like having one-on-one time and being like, oh yeah, we're at the restaurant, but I forgot my wallet. You're gonna have to pay, but also you now owe me sex because I took you out to dinner. I don't know why I'm doing that voice, but it's how I read it in my head, basically. Anyway, it was so cringy. All the like nice guy stuff that like internet incel. But there's like a monologue at the end where it's like, not everyone gets pounded in a Chuck Tingle book because pounding is not just a given. It's about respect and understanding between consenting partners, and while there's a whole lot of things to explore within that realm, the most important thing is to include is the consent between partners part, which is amazing. I love when Chuck Tingle works in a little lesson into these. Uncomfortable to read, but I did enjoy it overall because of the message of it. So this does cross off, title starts with F, S, O, or N, because Nice Guys starts with an N. That line now has 2 horizontally and 3 vertically to fill it out. I really hope that I get one with a fire on the cover because that's the only one I have left in that line. And I'm really looking forward to reading something that's not Chuck Tingle. See what's next. Pick a number between 1 and 190. 152. Oh no. No fire on the cover. The call is coming from inside your butt, which does have horror movie vibes. So that could be good for us, okay? There is a night sky on the cover. Or maybe they play football. All right, I will let you know when I've read this one. I push forward even more and suddenly I'm disappearing into my own ass. My body swallowing itself up in a strange, never-ending spiral that twists deeper and deeper as I vanish within myself. Is this a fucking Junji Ito graphic novel? What the fuck? Okay, that was like a crazy productive one for the bingo. So, our main character works in the gig economy and he accepts this contract to house it because it's like $400 a night. But people keep going missing at this house. So he's like, I need the money. Rent is due, you know? So he goes to this house and he's sitting there and then he gets this phone call and it's just like heavy breathing. It's very like beginning of Scream, right? Okay? And he like calls the police and the police is like, the call's coming from inside your butt. So he runs out of the house and then his phone, like his cell phone rings. The person's like, hey, I'm inside your butt, but like, you should join us in here. It's a good time. He's like, how do I do that? So that's when the thing I said earlier of him like Junjo Ito spiraling into his own asshole. It's there and it's like a utopia. And this is where this was very helpful because they mentioned that they have a football team. So I got to cross football off my list, which is one of the ones I thought was going to be really difficult. So, good on that one. And then because of the first part, like, I'm also going to count this as a thriller mystery. Because, like, there was definitely some, like, Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, like, thriller vibes at the beginning with, like, the house sitting, babysitters in the house, right? Okay. So that crosses that one off. And then, at the end, they're like, falling in love with each other. We're gonna take it slow, even though we did just fuck. The guy's a dinosaur, by the way. The like guy living in his butt is a dinosaur, and they fuck, and then he's like, I think I've decided to stay here forever with you, so I'm gonna count that as falling in love. Huh. So I only need an orange cover to get the cross line. I only need a bonfire to get the middle line. We're just barreling through with this one. And soon we should have a bingo, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So what's our next one gonna be? Pick me a number between 1 and 190. 86. Let's see. 86. Not pounded by my soul-crushing job because I quit. Unfortunately, it does not have a yellow cover, a purple color, or an orange cover. Nor does it have fire on the cover. So this might be potentially the first one that doesn't cross off a bingo card. So we'll read and see. So I finished Not Pounded by My Soul-Crushing Job Because I Quit. Someone is like 14 seconds late for work because they were contemplating their life in their car. And their boss makes them do like double their workload to make up for it, which like is unrealistic. So later in the day, the physical manifestation of his job is being given a tour, and he like stops him and be like, hey, so like, can we talk about this policy? Because it really is like physically impossible to do double your workload just because you're 14 seconds late. The physical manifestation of his job is like, let me take you out to dinner and we can discuss it. The physical manifestation of his job is like, dinner's on me. Because remember, your job feeds you, you don't eat if you don't have your job around. So our main character like runs off to the bathroom and it's like, just fucking quit my job, but like, what will I do? How will I feed myself? The bathroom attendant's like, maybe I can help. And the bathroom attendant is Chuck Tingle, who is the author of the story and omnipotent. So he's like, hey, realistically, yes, you can't just quit your job because it is how you feed yourself. But you are a fantasy creation by me. So like, give people the wish fulfillment fantasy they want in fiction and go quit your job. And then he goes and he quits his job and tells them to shove it. And that's the end. So very like fourth wall breaky, which I did enjoy. But it didn't hit any of the prompts I have left, which means as per the rules, I can choose what book I read next. And to get a bingo, I need Bonfire, which is a book with fire on the cover. And do you know which Chuck Tingle book has fire on the cover? His new release, Lucky Day, which also crosses off new release for me. So I am finally going to get around to reading one of my top 5 most anticipated of the year and complete my bingo card. So this is a bit of a longer one. It's like 228 pages. So I'll give you a halfway check-in and then I will let you know when I'm done. Okay, I hit the halfway point of Lucky Day more or less. I'm like 3 pages shy of it being halfway. Lucky Day starts with this absolutely awful day that they call the low probability event, where just a bunch of so statistically improbable things all happen at once. Like a monkey dressed as Shakespeare bashes someone's head in, all Boeing 777s collide with each other, like statistically very improbable. And this day happens on the book launch of this girl. Her name's Vera, and this happens on the day of her book launch, and she's wrote a book about this one specific casino and how improbable it is that their odds are what their odds are. She also came out to her mom as bisexual, and basically the last thing her mom said to her was like, bisexuality is not real. Absolutely traumatic. Then we jump forward 4 years where she's like literally just goes to the store to get ramen and stares at the ceiling. That's all she's done for 4 fucking years. Until one day, an agent comes to her house to recruit her to investigate the casino she wrote the book on, right? Because she literally wrote the book on it. They go out to Vegas and they're investigating the records of this casino, and then she finds out that that low probability event day was just the biggest things like that have continued to happen for the last 4 years, and that's what this department is investigating. Leaning a lot more sci-fi than I was expecting so far. Maybe it's just the heavy stats math that's making me feel like that, but also like wormholes, and it's giving like X-Files vibes, you know? So I'm enjoying it so far, but it did take a little bit of time to kind of get to the point. Things have continued to happen. The first 90 pages, a lot of dumping of the information. I could have gotten to this point a bit faster. But it's also past midnight. So I think I'm done with it for the day, and I will give you an update when I'm done. I have finished Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. Oh my god, ignore how exhausted I look. I had back-to-back classes today. Turns out that one low probability event wasn't the only one that's happening, and smaller events are happening all the time, and that's what they're investigating. I really liked that. I thought that some of the like incidents that happened were gruesome, and I loved that. It was same vibes I was getting from Bury Your Gaze. Like, I really liked that. The moral at the end felt a little fourth wall breaky in how it was portrayed. So I did ultimately like what it was saying. I just felt it was a little heavy-handed. This paragraph here: there are billions and billions of stories that are much larger than my own, and that makes me feel very small. But it also makes me feel very, very unique. The fact I even exist in the first place is the most astronomically low probability event there is. I'm not gonna waste that being nothing, because nothingness is easier. I love as a concept, but I felt the delivery was a little off. So I ended up giving this a 4.25 because I just did not live up to what I thought a 5-star of this should have been. Still love Chuck Tingle. Still would recommend Bury Your Gaze, abso-fucking-lutely. But this one's a 4.25. So, let's return to the bingo card and see if we got a bingo. Bonfire! And what else can we cross out? School setting, no. Fall setting, it was May. No vampires, no ghosts. No witchy vibes, really. It was a new release. Fall is not in the title, and it's not a fairy tale retelling. So, that is the final status of my bingo card after reading nothing but Chuck Tingle books until I got one bingo right down the center. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want a part 2 where I try and go for the rest of the card, let me know in the comments down below. Or leave the owl emoji, because again, this bingo card was created by my lovely friend Ashley from Ash Loves Books and Owls. If you enjoyed, like and consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos. There are links in the descriptions to my Goodreads and my Instagram if you want some previews on what I read before I post about it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.